everyone, this is Jason Bierek of Wall Street for Main Street, and this is your video blog for Wednesday, August 25th, 2010. Today I wanted to explain to you my insight, my own interpretation of the Austrian theory of decoupling. Decoupling to me means that when gold goes up, the dollar doesn't necessarily have to go down. Conventional economic and financial wisdom that people were taught in schools and that Wall Street believes and that Wall Street repeats all the time on CNBC is that when the dollar goes up, gold has to go down. Also part of this decoupling is that the emerging markets are so dependent upon the American consumer as the engine for economic growth that when the U.S. consumer dies and sputters, the emerging markets like China and the rest of Asia will sputter unbelievably or almost irreparably and will crash as well. I completely disagree with this. I think this is the conventional way of thinking, and I think a lot of talking heads have been wrong for a very, very long time. Did a lot of these talking heads that said the same thing? Did they see the housing bubble? Did they call it? Did they call the credit crisis? Did they say that subprime would creep into prime? Did they call any of this right? Did they say that China would overtake the U.S. in terms of automobile purchases as quickly as it has? Did they also say that China would be the #1 consumer of energy as quickly as they have? And the answer to all of these is no. They were wrong on every single one. So, history tells us that the Austrians are contrarian. The Austrian school of economics, the free market school, we're very contrarian. So just because normally, from a historical standpoint, that when the dollar goes up, gold price will go down, doesn't necessarily mean this will happen every time. In fact, this is basically what is happening now. As the dollar rebounds here on the dollar index, which the dollar index is weighted primarily with the euro and the Japanese yen, as the dollar rebounds here on the dollar index, gold is also going up. This is part of decoupling. This is part of our decoupling idea, that both of them can go up at the same time. The dollar isn't going up as fast as gold, though. The dollar is losing purchasing power and value relative to gold. In fact, in the last 6 months alone, both the US dollar and the Swiss franc have lost 13% of their value relative to gold. If you extrapolate this over a year on the same trend, and I'm not sure that this will be guaranteed or not, so, you know, it's going to fluctuate. These are currency markets. That would be a 26% loss in value for both the US dollar and the Swiss franc in 1 year relative to gold. So this is part of the race to debase. Everyone wants a weaker currency. Everyone. Name me someone who wants a strong currency, or who really wants a strong currency. Not a politician who'll say, "Oh, we want a strong currency," and then look at the actions of their central bank and all the other stuff that's going on behind the scenes. So part of the decoupling theory also is that China and these other emerging markets are recovering. They don't need, like Peter Schiff says, they don't necessarily need the American consumer to buy everything they have. In fact, if you look at the data over the last X amount of months, you can see that these countries, these Chinas and Indonesias and Vietnams and Thailands, they're exporting to each other now, and they're consuming each other's own goods. They're not repackaging it and sending it to the U.S. They're learning to consume more of their own products. So I really think a lot of these experts have been wrong, a lot of these talking heads. And I know my friend Kevin Kerr, he used to go on to CNBC, and he was chastised for saying that the Chinese would pass us in energy usage so quickly. And he called it dead on. And a lot of these other experts, the talking heads, a lot of them have been dead wrong. So why should you listen to them? Why should you believe completely conventional finance, the conventional way of thinking? Has it worked so far? Has it worked in the last 5 years? No, it's been pretty much dead wrong. So one of the signs that I see that points to the fact that the emerging markets are themselves recovering is copper price. I see the copper price showing pretty darn good strength at over $3.20 a pound. And that shows me that not necessarily that China's stockpiling copper and putting it in a warehouse, because copper stockpiles have actually dwindled starting in November 2009, and they had to be replenished. But they're putting projects to work. It's being used, folks. I think a lot of it's being used. It's not all being stockpiled in a Chinese warehouse. But anyways, though, the dollar, the U.S. consumer and the dollar, all those things, this decoupling is anti-conventional, folks. It's contrarian. And it means that just because a trend has been occurring in the past does not mean it will necessarily occur the same way in the present and in the future. So this is the main point you guys need to get. And this is something that the Austrians are really the only ones saying. The only ones. And one of the best points that Jim Rogers makes, and Jim Rogers is one of the main champions in this besides Peter Schiff, but one of the main points that Jim Rogers makes is that after World War II, after Bretton Woods, did the U.S., who our main exporter to was the UK, when the UK was going through problems, did the U.S. collapse after World War II? Or did we retool our factories from military to more consumption, and we take off and have an amazingly prosperous next few decades? So I really think that the decoupling is occurring. Now, it's not occurring super fast, but that's more healthy that it doesn't occur super fast. So yes, gold can go up and the dollar can go up at the same time. This is not a once in a blue moon lightning strikes you type of thing. This is something that can and will occur. But just realize, though, that almost all paper fiat currencies are going to lose value relative to gold. Okay, guys? Hopefully this gave you a pretty good summary and some insight into the Austrian theory about decoupling. Now, I don't know if this is quite as detailed as some of those Austrian school professors would like, but this is my more street smart interpretation of it, something you can actually use. So don't believe everything the talking heads say. Just because it has worked completely all the time in the past does not necessarily mean it will work in the future. You guys need to learn to do your own diligence just like everyone else. And if you think that gold could go up, you can have a barbell strategy. There's something called a barbell strategy that Richard Russell of Dow Theory and Michael Berry have been championing for in the last few months. And their barbell strategy has two ends of the spectrum. It has cash and it has gold. And the other stuff in the middle is very thin. So if you're very conservative and you're a trader, you could be a lot in cash and a lot in gold. Everyone give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. And hopefully you liked my summary of decoupling. I will post this on the Wall Street for Main Street Facebook fan page. And I hope to see some comments about it that you liked it. Okay, bye everyone.